How many secrets do you think a place that's only appeared on the world map for less than 250 years could possibly be hiding? Which mountain here is actually taller than Mount Everest? Which island, even in the 21st century, still bans outsiders from setting foot on it? And what nearly caused an entire people to lose the very language of their ancestors? All the answers are waiting for you ahead. Hawaii. The entire Hawaiian archipelago was formed by a geological phenomenon known as a hotspot, a fixed plume of molten magma sitting deep beneath the Earth's crust. As the Pacific tectonic plate slowly drifted overhead, that hotspot burned through the crust again and again, creating one volcanic island after another, stretching into a chain more than 6,000 kilometers long. In other words, each island in this chain is a different slice of time. The Big Island of Hawaii, the largest in the chain, sits directly above the magma source today, which is why it still has intense volcanic activity. Kauai, on the other hand, the oldest of the inhabited islands, had its volcano go extinct long ago, leaving behind only traces worn down by time. Mauna Kea, on the Big Island, rises about 4,200 meters above sea level, if you only count the part poking above the water. But measured from the ocean floor, where the mountain's base truly begins, it stands more than 10,000 meters tall, far surpassing Mount Everest. As for Kilauea, Hawaii's most famous volcano, it began a new eruption phase in late 2024 that's still ongoing as of the making of this video, occurring in distinct episodes, some with lava fountains shooting up nearly 450 meters high. Scientists describe the magma erupting this time as containing so much gas that it fizzes almost exactly like a carbonated drink that's just been shaken hard. On the opposite end of these fiery lava flows, Kauai is home to one of the wettest places on the planet, Mount Waialeale, where average annual rainfall can exceed 11 meters of water. Over millions of years, that immense volume of water carved out Waimea Canyon, often called the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. And there's one fascinating detail that means the hotspot story from the start of this video is far from over. Right now, about 35 kilometers southeast of the Big Island's coastline, an entirely new volcano is quietly forming beneath the ocean floor. One that, tens of thousands of years from now, could very well become the next island in this entire chain. In other words, the story of Hawaii has never truly stopped. It's still being written, right beneath the ocean, even as you're watching this video. A land this geologically young turns out to be the very last place on Earth that humans ever settled. And to understand why, we need to talk about the people who discovered it. About 1,000 years ago, Polynesian voyagers crossed thousands of kilometers of open ocean in double-hulled canoes, relying solely on observing the stars, wave patterns, and the flight paths of seabirds, with no compass and no map whatsoever. They carried with them a kind of living cargo: taro, breadfruit, coconut, and banana plants, species that would go on to become the foundation of Hawaiian life for generations to come. But among all those plants, taro, or kalo, carries a meaning that goes far beyond its value as food. According to the Hawaiian creation story, the kalo plant is the very first elder sibling of the family, born even before human ancestors, and entrusted with the responsibility of caring for its younger siblings. That's why, for Native Hawaiians, a meal with kalo on the table isn't simply a meal. It's a way of honoring the sacred bond between people and the very land that has sustained them. By around 1810, King Kamehameha I unified the entire archipelago for the first time in history, through a combination of military force and diplomacy. He left behind a law still remembered to this day, the law of the splintered paddle, which protected ordinary civilians even in times of war. In 1778, British Captain James Cook became the first European recorded to set foot on the islands. A year later, he was killed in a confrontation at Kealakekua Bay after attempting to take a local chief hostage. Then, in 1819, the ancient religious legal system known as kapu formally collapsed, and the following year, the first Western missionaries arrived on the islands, ushering in a period of profound religious and social change. But perhaps the most painful and contested chapter in Hawaiian history came from people who arrived not to conquer by force, but through economic power. In 1893, Queen Liliuokalani, the last monarch of the Kingdom of Hawaii, was overthrown by a small group of businessmen, most of them American and European, backed by U.S. Marines deployed from a warship anchored nearby. She chose to step down peacefully, to spare her people from bloodshed. Even an official U.S. investigation at the time concluded that the overthrow had been unlawful. And 100 years later, in 1993, the U.S. Congress itself passed a formal resolution acknowledging exactly that. Before the overthrow took place, Queen Liliuokalani lived in Iolani Palace in Honolulu, a building fitted with electric lighting even before the White House had it. But after the overthrow, that very room, once a symbol of prosperity, became the place where she herself was held captive for nearly 8 months. During that period of confinement, the Queen spent her time hand-stitching a quilt, stitch by stitch, as a way of holding on to her strength through some of the most painful months of her entire life. In 1898, Hawaii was annexed by the United States. In 1941, Pearl Harbor was struck by a surprise attack that drew America into World War II. Finally, in 1959, following a public referendum, Hawaii officially became the 50th state of the United States. Only one island in that entire vote said no to becoming part of the United States. Niihau, an island still privately owned by a single family today, and the only place where Hawaiian remains the primary language of everyday life. A kingdom once overthrown, a language once on the very edge of disappearing. Yet remarkably, the descendants of that kingdom are still, to this day, finding every way they can to revive the very soul of their culture. If you've ever heard the word aloha, you probably think of it as simply a greeting. But in Hawaii, aloha has actually been written into state law, defined through 5 specific qualities: kindness, unity, agreeableness, humility, and patience. That same law requires judges and government officials to give consideration to the aloha spirit in the course of their own work. Native Hawaiians also believe in a concept called mana, a form of spiritual energy that flows through people, all living things, and even sacred lands. It's believed that living rightly allows a person to accumulate more mana for themselves. Before there was a written language, Hawaiians preserved their entire history, genealogy, and religious beliefs through hula, not merely a performance, but a living form of storytelling. Hula was banned from public performance in 1830, after the Queen at the time converted to Christianity. But by the late 19th century, King Kalakaua, nicknamed the Merry Monarch, was determined to bring it back, rescuing hundreds of ancient dances that were at risk of being lost forever. But there was something even more fragile than the dance, the Hawaiian language itself. After the kingdom was overthrown, teaching in the Hawaiian language in schools was banned outright in 1896. By the 1980s, only a few thousand people could still actually speak the language, most of them elderly. In other words, if just 1 or 2 more generations had failed to pass it on, the language of an entire people could have vanished for good. The turning point finally came in 1984, when the first bilingual preschools were established, teaching entirely in Hawaiian. The ban on teaching in the language was lifted 2 years later. And today, the number of people speaking Hawaiian at home has grown significantly compared to a decade ago, one of the rarest and most successful indigenous language revival stories in the world. And perhaps no story illustrates that journey of revival better than the story of the canoe Hokulea. In the 1970s, when the ancestors' ancient wayfinding techniques had almost completely disappeared in Hawaii, those hoping to revive it had to bring in a teacher from another island, thousands of kilometers away in Micronesia, the last person on Earth who still held on to this knowledge. He guided the Hokulea all the way from Hawaii to Tahiti, using no modern navigation equipment whatsoever, relying only on his own eyes and memory, proving that the ancestors of the Hawaiian people had settled across the Pacific through genuine skill, not simply by drifting there by chance. That same tight-knit community spirit is exactly what shaped the way people from all corners of the world, so different from one another, came to live together on these islands today. During the height of the sugarcane and pineapple plantation era, plantation owners recruited waves of laborers from Japan, China, the Philippines, Portugal, and Korea, who blended into the native Hawaiian community that had already been living here for generations. Out of that mixing came an entirely new language called Pidgin, combining English, Hawaiian, Japanese, and Portuguese, and it remains a defining marker of local identity to this day. The food reflects this immigration story just as fully. The plate lunch, 2 scoops of rice, macaroni salad, and a meat entree, traces back to the divided lunchboxes plantation workers once carried. Spam musubi, grilled canned meat set atop rice and wrapped in seaweed, grew out of a combination of wartime canned food habits and the Japanese rice ball tradition. Looking at such a warm, diverse community, some of you watching are probably wondering, what would it actually take to move here and live? The answer, admittedly, is a bit sobering. Hawaii is now the most expensive place to buy a home anywhere in the United States. The statewide median home price has crossed the $900,000 mark. To afford a home at that median price, a household needs an income about 180% higher than the state's median household income, meaning only roughly 1 in 5 households in Hawaii can actually afford it. Much of this comes down to geography. As an isolated archipelago in the middle of the ocean, nearly everything, from building materials to food, has to be shipped in by boat or flown in by plane, driving prices up considerably compared to the mainland. So what's actually driving the entire economy of this archipelago, enough to sustain such a high cost of living? There was a time when sugarcane and pineapple were the backbone of Hawaii's entire economy. At its peak, the island supplied more than 80% of the world's canned pineapple. But by 2016, Hawaii's last remaining sugar plantation officially shut down, closing out an era that had lasted more than a century, in a single decision. Today, one of the most famous agricultural products still left is Kona coffee, grown on the very slopes of volcanoes, where warm mornings and cloudy afternoons create ideal growing conditions. Most farms here are quite small, and every coffee cherry is picked entirely by hand. But the true pillar of Hawaii's economy today is tourism, alongside the long-standing presence of the U.S. military. Together, these two sectors account for nearly half of all jobs across the state. That dependence has also stirred debate within the community. Many worry that an economy built around tourism is unintentionally funneling their children into low-wage service jobs, rather than opening up more diverse career paths. And the pressures of development don't stop at people. They're also bearing down on the archipelago's one-of-a-kind natural world. Having been isolated for millions of years, Hawaii evolved thousands of species found nowhere else on Earth. But that same isolation is exactly why the islands are now known by a rather grim nickname, the extinction capital of the world. The endemic forest birds known as honeycreepers once numbered more than 50 distinct species. Today, only 17 remain, and many of those have fewer than 200 individuals left in the wild. The main cause is avian malaria, spread by an invasive mosquito believed to have first arrived nearly 2 centuries ago aboard a whaling ship. Climate change has made the problem worse still, allowing mosquitoes to climb into the high mountain elevations that once served as the last refuge for these birds. Fortunately, scientists have found a promising path forward, raising and releasing large numbers of male mosquitoes, carrying a special bacterium that prevents mosquito eggs from hatching, gradually shrinking the mosquito population without relying on any chemicals. Hawaii is even the only U.S. state with no native snake species at all. And its laws against snakes are strict enough to carry jail time, all in an effort to protect the fragile bird species that remain. And that same fragility of Hawaii's natural world is exactly what came under direct threat during the most recent disaster the islands are still working to recover from. In August 2023, a fierce wildfire, fueled by powerful winds, swept through the town of Lahaina on the island of Maui, once the former capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii. More than 100 people were killed, making it the deadliest wildfire in the United States in over a century. According to the official investigation, the cause was traced to a spark from a downed power line meeting dry, uncleared vegetation. A fire that seemed to have been put out in the morning, only to flare back up violently that same afternoon. By late 2025, rebuilding efforts were underway, though moving quite slowly. Of the nearly 480 residential building permits issued, only about 76 homes had been completed, with the rest still under construction or awaiting processing. A survey from early 2025 found that around 90% of former residents from the burned area still hadn't been able to return to their old homes, with many living in temporary housing built by the state. A legal settlement worth more than $4 billion for victims of the disaster remains in the final stages of legal processing. Clearly, for a great many families, this chapter is still far from truly closed. Yet amid all of this, one image has become a symbol for the entire town: the historic Lahaina banyan tree, planted back in 1873, which, despite being badly scorched, has persistently continued to push out new leaves. And perhaps that image of the tree is the best possible way to close out the entire story we've just journeyed through together. In a small classroom in Hilo, there's a woman in her 80s who still shows up every single week, just to teach children how to pronounce a language that, when she was young, she was once forbidden to speak aloud. A single moment like that is enough to show that some things are still being kept alive, even after standing right on the edge of disappearing. But a culture can only survive if its people are still able to remain on their own homeland. As home prices keep climbing and more native Hawaiian families are forced to leave the islands in search of somewhere more affordable on the mainland, will there come a day when Hawaiians living in Hawaii is nothing more than a line in a history book? In Hawaii, the same word is used for both hello and goodbye. Aloha. So instead of saying farewell, Extreme X Travel wants to say to you, aloha until we meet again on another journey.